My name's Terry, and I'm an addict. Welcome to Cocaine Anonymous World Convention here in CA Holland. The title of this workshop is The History of Cocaine Anonymous here in Holland. And our panel member is Vim, Cora, and Monica. And the God that presides over all of it, we trust will share through us. And the spirit of Edward Moore is here with us today. Got to meet these beautiful people in his living room for the first time many years ago. This is a meeting of Cocaine Anonymous. The opinions expressed in this workshop are those of the speakers, panel members, and fellows who participate. The opinions expressed in this workshop are not necessarily the opinions of Cocaine Anonymous as a whole, Cocaine Anonymous World Service Office, or any group, area, district, trusted servant, or of the beautiful Holland area of CA. In beginning this, Monica had selected a reading called Reaching Out, which is one of the most beautiful readings. We've asked our friend who got sober here in the Dutch Fellowship, Martijn, to come up and read that for us. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Martijn. I'm an addict. Good morning. Reaching out. Oh, sorry. I made it into this program because someone else worked their 12-step on me. Someone passed it on to me. Someone was out there after they got clean and sober, caring about others. I need to never ever forget that. Had they simply go on with their life and forgotten about people like me who are still out there using and suffering, I wouldn't be here today. My gratitude begins with that fact. It is with that gratitude in mind that I reach out to others, especially the newcomers. I need to have them in my life. That is where my spirituality begins. For me, spirituality comes for caring about others. I have found that the more I focus on improving the quality of the life of others, the less I am into myself and my will. I will feel a freedom and a peace from within. The gifts I am beginning to receive in my life are greater than I could have ever imagined. Something else I have done is that I have forgiven myself. I have forgiven myself for being an addict. I have forgiven myself for all the damage I did to my life, to my physical health, and to my career and finances. But most of all, I have forgiven myself for all of the horrible, negative, and unloving things I have felt about myself. It was not until I offered and accepted my own forgiveness that I was truly able to grow in my sobriety.
Okay, so here's our panel. Monica, who sobriety date is the 23rd of April, 2000, discovered CA online. She had a fascination with cocaine. And just shows you the power that's behind all of this, right? That power will use our best intentions and even sometimes our worst intentions and actions to bring about a greater good. So we're going to start off and have each of them tell a little bit of their story. So Monica, the history of your history in discovering Cocaine Anonymous here in the Netherlands.
My name is Monica. Is it working or do I have to press a button? No. Hello?
Use that one then.
Hi. Is this working?
Perfect. Right there.
Okay. Hi everyone, my name is Monica, I'm an addict. Really cool to sit here and look at you all. Amazing. And for me it's proof that there is a higher power. Because it's Saturday morning and when I was down and out, no fiber in my brain or body would have thought of participating in something like this. And I'm sure for you it's the same. Yes, for me it's always nice to connect with the higher power. I see a hand of the higher power behind everyone's back. You know, it's a lot of power here present in this room. Thank you all for showing up, and thanks a lot for the convention committee who has worked really hard for 4 years to make this all happen. You know, we are sitting here, and I always thought when I participated in a convention that those people were the ones who did it. That's not true. We are just, you know, putting our ass on a seat here. It's not much trouble, but all the people behind the scenes really made this happen and did all the hard work. And that also counts for the people who put up a CA website. Thanks, Martijn, for reading that piece, because that is really so dear to me, because, you know, Cocaine Anonymous started in 1982 in Los Angeles, and had those people just, you know, be glad with themselves and that they were clean and sober and, you know, meetings, a little party. They would have never created a website, and then I would never have known even that I was an addict, because I found out I was an addict through the self-test on that website. And like Terry said, I wasn't looking for help, but I was looking for support for my theory that I wasn't an addict, you know. And I thought, I'm going to do this self-test, and then, you know, I will be given some proof that everything is still all right with me. Do a little party, who cares? Not harmful, no problem. And then, with a good excuse, I can really enjoy my using, right? Because when I feel guilty or ashamed, then, you know, party's over. So I did that self-test, and I'm so grateful. I don't know who created those questions, but when you go to a Dutch institution, or back in the day, and you fill out a question list, it's all about how much you use. Do you use several drugs together? For how long? Have you been involved with criminality, whatever? But then I would have only no's, you know, because I still go to work and had a lot of material things left. But those questions really pulled the denial totally away, and I didn't even know it was denial. And then I knew, you know, I was convinced. Also, I don't know, the honesty came, you know, in my consciousness. I couldn't fix it with a lie, because it was too quick that the answers came. And then, you know, I started to reach out, and the rest is history.
Beautiful. Thank you, Monica. So next person on our panel is Cora. She can tell a little bit about herself, your sobriety date.
Yeah, my name is Cora, addict. Hello. I started in some years ago. First I went to, my sobriety date is 18 January 2002. Before that, I started to do several things to stay clean and sober, but it never, I relapsed for years. I went to Dutch AA, and it never worked because I never worked the steps with a sponsor, and at that Dutch AA, they didn't work with a sponsor or with traditions or with Big Book. So for years I didn't have a clue, and then I asked for help after 5 years, and I found a friend who was sober and clean 2 years in that AA. And I asked for help desperately, and then I asked, and then she said, work your steps and go searching for a sponsor. And I took that very seriously, went to a meeting, to an AA meeting, English speaking, and I found there a member who became my sponsor, who was taking me to CA. And then it started to work. I was working very seriously to the first CA meeting in 2001. I came in the first CA meeting in The Hague. That was it.
Thank you, Cora. And now we have Wim.
Hi, Wim, addict.
Hey, Wim.
Well, we supposed to, the whole area will be full, and it's good for our ego. We were busy with that stuff, so I have to go out of myself and tell my story, how it was, how it is, and how it still is. So I start on a very young age, so I start also on a very young age to stop doing what I did, what was killing me. I've been to Scientology, I've been to Bhagwan, I've been to a lot of temples in the whole world. I was looking at Pippi Langkous. I was doing everything to stop and try to stop, and therapy and whatever for many, many years. And I could stop. I could stop, but I could not stay stopped. Always the snake was waiting. You know that I was figure out, I got one secret, and that was my lover, and that was the heroin. And the reason that I stopped was the cocaine, because of my paranoid. That was my reason, But I couldn't stop. I could not see that it was a disease. That was, once I was started, I never could stop. And I always try it in one more time. I tell nobody, one more time, and then I quit. That never works. Till the last time I did it, I was come 1 year after Monica. I did a lot of therapy. There was a guy from an institution. I said, I know something for you. And I didn't do it for myself, I did it for my people around me. And I say, help me. So I get that address. It was in some area in Den Haag. It was very lousy area. And I was going there, very stoned, on my first meeting, going up. And there was a guy there, Phil and help me, Jackie. Philip and Jackie was coming from the CA and brought us the stuff. It was one of the first meetings. UK, yes, from the UK, from England. And we didn't have all the pamphlets and all this pop string, it just was very basic. A couple of people, I see one guy was also there. And I was going in there and I was so lost. But Phil has 12 years clean and sober from heroin. And I thought, what he has, I want to have it. That was my only conclusion. What he has, I want to have it. I want to do nothing for it, but what he has, I want to have it. Help me. And there was a guy there with a ponytail. He looked like Ozzy Osbourne, shaking 3 times a week. He did the stairs and falling down every time. And that was Edward E. Moore from the United States, So I thought, I don't care who you are and who. And Monica was there, and Govert was there. So I was there, and I was sitting there, and I got a book from another, small book from another, from NA stuff, and that was not available, all that stuff what we have now. And I was going to that meeting, and on the end, they put a box with all that kraaltjes, how you call it, and you have to put some money in it. I say, you see, you want to have something from me. They say, no, you're a newcomer, you don't have to put nothing in it. So I was already falling to the basket, never were there, I was already, have my conclusion that I have already opinion about it. But I want to have that thing what he has. And I go 2 weeks to South Africa and did a cold turkey. I come back and I go again in that meeting. And then I ask Edward to be my sponsor. And he say, okay, do you know what a commitment is? He asked me. I say, of course I know what I don't know. I got German on my school. I'm a captain, so we only go to German and blah. So I never learn English. So he say, we're gonna read the big book, and everything what you don't understand, you ask me. I say, holy cow, I have to do all my life that stupid old English stuff, I said, that's why I ask you. That's the purpose of it. And then I go to him, and I stay clean and sober. And every time when I was walking on that stairs, he was upstairs, and then he said, hey, did somebody tell you that he loved you today? And mine was, get the fuck out of here, man. Leave me alone, old fart. I was scared of this man. But this man got more love in his pink than I have in my whole body, He was taking care of me. And then when I was leaving, that is the Pandora, the dose of, he said, you help me. I said, whoa, we addicts don't help each other, we steal from each other. We rip each other. And he say, thank you for being here, you helping me. I say, whoa, what is this? when I was going home, and my girlfriend at that time, she said, I already tell you years and years the same stuff what that old man told you. But I say, okay, but he knows it. He knows everything. Anyway, Monica was there. She was so open to open her house. We have no meeting rooms, nothing. So I was going there and hang on to that part, you know. That was my first meeting and my experience. I see many, many people coming and going. I have still my same phone number. I was by the first convention, and I'm so privileged to be here, you know. So for now, that's it.
Thank you, Wim.
Okay.
Monica? Okay, that brings us to our first question. What was your first CA meeting?
My very first CA meeting was an online meeting because there was no CA meeting in Holland yet. So I joined an online meetings. Someone nodding, Tom, I believe he's there. And those were great support because I started to go to other meetings of other fellowships. I first thought, okay, there's no CA here, so I don't have to go to those group, face all these people, but my sponsor wouldn't have it and told me, just go to AA. That's everywhere. But the people in the online meetings were really my examples. You know, they were working the steps, sharing about the steps, and the great thing about this online format was that you could ask questions. So it wouldn't be like crosstalk, but when I was confused about step 3 or something, I got all this feedback, and also my sponsor told me to buy a big book. I had no clue. And so I said, do you have an ISBN number? And I went to a bookstore, you know, it was 2000, no online shopping or anything. And after 2 weeks, the store called me, that book, we don't know that book, it's not available. So I posted that again thinking, oh, okay, I got away with that one. My sponsor has to come up with something better. And then 2 people from the online meetings reached out to me and just said, what's your address? And I thought, I don't know, okay, this is my address. And like 2 weeks later, in a brown envelope, I received 2 big books from, you know, people that had never met me, but just cared. One of them was Craig S. Some of you know him, I think, from Arizona. And I was so impressed, people doing that, you know, thinking she needs an effing big book, and if she can't buy it, we are going to provide her with that, you know, going to any length. Yeah, that is really where I found how this works, really, yeah.
Thank you, Cora. What was your first Cocaine Anonymous meeting?
In 2001, I came through AA. There was I didn't know there was CA. I came through AA where I found a sponsor who took me to CA, the first CA meeting in The Hague, and I found a sponsor, and that was Monica. And I went very seriously working the steps with her, and she, of course, with me. That's why but I was very seriously because I never did something like that before.
Cool. So, Wim, you had already stated your first meeting. So, what else did you try to do? You were alluding to that in your share. What else did you try to do to get sober before Cocaine Anonymous?
Before. Everything. Everything. So. Anyway, I got some maybe 15, 20 years therapy, going in and out and in and out and in and out. So I did again. Scientology, I try everything. Go to the shrink, and he was sitting, just look at me, and he say, you're okay? I say, no, I'm not. I tried everything, I tried medication, I tried, tried a world trip, I tried everything to get out of there. So, yes, I did a lot of therapy. I was a good therapist, not for myself, but for everybody. I knew how to stop. Yes.
Thank you. Do either of you want to touch on that question as well? Other things that you tried to do before CA?
Yes, I tried all kind of stuff. I moved from other city to another place. I thought I need another house, another neighborhood, because I thought my neighborhood is so boring. Everybody is going to use and drink. And I moved to another city. I had a very nice house there, but the first week I already started to drink and use. So happy as I am, of course not. I tried all kind of therapy, but that therapist, they didn't know about AA or CA, and they ignore it, and they didn't believe in it, they only were talking about my psychological problems and not about my addiction. And I've done lots of stuff to stop.
So I have to tell you about this moment I just experienced up here. So we are all connected. The speaker the other afternoon was talking about degrees of separation and how about one thing can happen and lead to another. So I never knew the story that Craig had sent you the book. Well, Craig S. was one of the dominant forces in Cocaine Anonymous in the state of Arizona where I got sober. And Craig was involved in starting H&I, hospitals and institutions. Craig started H&I in the late 80s. I got sober in an H&I meeting that Craig Shell had started in 1991. And the same man that carried the message to me indirectly through others, through H&I, was the one who sent you the book. I wish I could tell you a better ending to Craig's story. This is a motherfucker. Addiction is tough, right? Anybody here, whether you're new or old, it's tough. He got injured. After he got injured, he had to take pain meds, severe injury. And once he started on me, he couldn't stop. And it took him down a path that was a horrible end. So we've had Jackie and Philip, two of the most influential people in the spread of Cocaine Anonymous in Europe, here with us today. We've had Edward Moore, and then the ghost of Craig Shell as well. So it blows my mind to see how this thing works, right? Because we are indeed all connected. So let's go to this question. We'll start with you, Monica. What was CA like in those earliest days here?
We were very small. We started with 3 people. One of them is present here also, Bart and Govert, which Wim also mentioned. And I had gotten a starter kit when I did my step 5 in Los Angeles because I had found an online sponsor. And when I'd written my step 4, the sponsor said, okay, I don't know how we go about this, but step 5 has to be face-to-face. And I thought, no problem, I'll just book a ticket to Los Angeles. You know, I was still very impulsive, and I was so badly connected, I couldn't even feel I was scared, really. So that helped to go there. And then when I was in Los Angeles, there's, of course, the CA headquarters, very small office in, sort of industrial area. And my sponsor said, okay, let's visit the CA headquarters. And I thought, oh, that's cool. But I thought, what do they care? I'm an invisible, person from Holland. You're big and mature and everything. But they were very thrilled that I showed up. And it didn't register with me why that would be. But today I know that feeling, when people show up from Belgium or Germany where there's nothing yet. But then they showed me around. And they gave me a brown box and said, here's the starter kit. And I thought, oh, what's that about? So you can start a CA meeting. And I thought, no, I'm only 4 months sober. That's for later. And they started pushing, they wouldn't take it back. And then they said, we put it in your trunk. And I thought, okay, well, let's stop with the, lame conversation. Okay, I'll put it under my bed. And when I was back, I went to one of the meetings I was going to, and there were 2, cocaine lovers, and they knew I had gone to Los Angeles. So they said, "Oh, what was it like?" And I said, guess what? Those, jokers gave me a starter kit. Ha ha. And they said, so are we going to start a CA meeting then? And I don't know. I said, well, we could. So one night on a Friday night, we got together in my house and we opened, I had the box open and we started to read the readings. It was really, magic. I knew the text from the online meetings, but to sit there, even if that's only 3 of us, and to read that aloud, every one of us had to read 2 or 3 readings, of course, because, it was hardly a group. And so I thought, okay, well, that's nice. And when they left, they said, so we're going to start a meeting then. And I thought, what do you mean? We can't just do that, can we? We don't have a meeting room, nothing. Well, who cares? We sat here tonight. Okay, but who is going to be the chair? Well, you started reading the format, so you just do that again, next week. And they left, and I called my sponsor. This can't be happening. This is illegal. This is and but so next week was the last Friday of August in 2000. We had that first, official meeting, and it was really cool. And we stayed small for quite some time, and I believe Wim was one of the first newcomers. I still see him coming up the stairs, and I never have that, but I thought, he's a keeper, and he is still there. And it's good to know that, the 3 of us were always very regular because, of all kind of, rocky roads we go in recovery, but we're all 3 still clean and sober. And, look where we are today. It's really awesome.
Yeah, so we're going to go back to what you just said for one moment, because I want you all to take one moment and just breathe in what she just said. Some newcomers got together and started a meeting. What she just described was the first ever meeting that took place on the entire continent of Europe. Every life, every sobriety on this entire continent can be traced back in one way or another to some loving act just like that. Do either of you have anything else, Wim or Cora? Was there anything else you want to talk about in those that first meeting or 2?
Yeah, that we all had double, my name is Cora Addict, we all had double service positions. I came later than Wim. Wim came in the first meetings. And after in Monica's house, we started in a meeting room. I came in that meeting room. It was not anymore in Monica's house, but it was in a meeting room in a re-entry house. There we rent a room, and we had all double service positions because we didn't have so many people. And I did my service very seriously, and it helped me very much in my recovery.
Wim?
Yes, for me, there's what I already told, and what. One of my first days, I was walking in the street feeling with myself in my addiction, and Monica was calling me, and she got interested in a junkie like me. She was calling me, saying, "Hey, how are you?" I was going away from the people I was walking with, and I said, what she wants from me? And she asked me how I was doing. Everybody around me was puking me out, I was scared, I was dangerous for everybody, and Monica got interested in me. I could not understand that concept, but on inside I was feeling somebody got interested, and she asked me, do you like to come again? And of course, my disease say, no, get away. And my other side of my disease say, help me, like a baby. So Monica was reaching out, I could not understand that, and still I do that from the day till now. We go a lot to NA meetings, CA meetings. I try AA meetings, but we have nothing on that time, you know. There was only one area there. So my sponsor say, go as much meetings as you can. And my safety part was that I got old timers and other stuff where they only were reading every Monday that book. So I was on the clock, you know. I have to make that commitment. And so I go so many meetings as I could. So, and later on, if you see now how many meetings there are, you know, if you look on the internet, how many meetings there are, it's amazing. And sometimes people come to me and say, hey, you are Wim, you are from, yeah, you have no realization, you know, how big it is when we were started and when we are now. And still I ask myself, I stopped at everything in my life, and still now I'm sitting here. And my enthusiastic thing, I cannot give it words, you know. I still do it. The people around me, you know, there's people in these rooms are still doing it and starting new meetings and go to newcomers. And so, yes, I did a lot of meetings in the beginning, everything I took, like an addict.
Yeah, a tremendous amount of sacrifice in that. So following up on that, that point on the overall growth, Monica, would you talk about prior to, so there was a point where there was no meeting list.
Yeah.
And last night, Richard said something up here on the stage. He said, and Holland has like 170 meetings, and somebody from the back screamed something out. Would you share that?
Yeah, it's very nice. So I think here the printouts of a couple of meeting lists are together. And the first one says 2005, but of course when we only had one meeting, there was no need for a list because everyone knew one another, right? So we only had a telephone number. That was my mobile phone number because I happen to have a mobile phone from work. It's not, you know, it's back in the day, people, 2000. Having a cell phone was like one of those bricks, you know. Yeah, people had them for work. And we had an email address, a Yahoo email address. And so the meeting was at my house, but I knew, yeah, it's better to have it somewhere neutral. So I started to call around, and it was very difficult to find a meeting place because 12-step programs were very invisible or unpopular. Like the professional community didn't know, or they had a prejudice, if did some, you know, maybe some bad experiences. So you had to explain what is that 12-step program and blah, blah, blah. And then when it came to, you know, what kind of people are participating, I had to say, they were not, I can't guarantee they're all sober when they turn up at the meeting, and then the door was closed. So I called another institution and another, and a church and a community service center, and it was no. So we were for a year in my house, and one of the people I called first was from a safe house, a re-entry house, and he had been an addict also, but got sober in another way. And he said, well, I can't have people under the influence in my facility, but if you haven't found anything in a year, give me a call back. So on the clock, a year had passed, we were still in my house. So I called him back and I said, okay, I'm coming back on your promise. We still have found nothing. And then he was a very, very nice, very special man because he opened the doors for us. But the advantage of having made so many phone calls, I had explained to a lot of people what CA was. And a little while later, the first clinic in Holland, in The Hague, based on 12 steps started. And they knew about CA because I had them on the phone, asking for a meeting room. And when they started, they thought, okay, now we need people to come and do H&I in our facility. So they rang me and said, you know, we want to invite you to do H&I. And that is really, you know, we went there with a few people that we had, and from that time it really contributed to the growth because the people who had been to that rehab, they went to the meetings, and some of them started their own meetings. So that was, yeah, really gave a big boost to, to spreading the word.
So it is today, what is the total number of meetings available in Holland?
Well, we stopped really keeping track properly, I think, and that is a good sign, you know. But someone did a count, and it said it's 220. 221 as of today. Yeah, and what I really, when we were preparing this workshop, what came to back in my mind all the time was a speaker CD from Johnny S. that I once heard. And he was, I believe, in New York, and he was introduced, and the roof went up because he was, you know, one of the founders. And then he said, you know, quieted down the applause, and he said, okay, I may be one of the co-founders, but you are all founders, you know. I can't start a meeting in Klazinaveen, you know. Wim can't start a meeting in, you know, Alkmaar, you know. So everyone who is doing service, you know, and even start or thinking about starting a meeting is a founder, you know. So that was really, yeah, really touched my heart when I heard him say that.
That's beautiful. So, Corey, you want to address any of the early sacrifices that y'all had to make to get this thing going? Because clearly it took a great deal of work.
Oh yeah, yeah. There came.
Cora has a bracelet here, and it says "Never give up."
And that's
And she is really
like a pit
someone
bull.
who never gives up in doing service.
Thanks. Yeah, in the beginning, I'm searching for it because. Yeah, I do it out of my, how you say that. That was in the beginning of CA, there came the first CA meeting, we were very small, but then there was a guy who was working at the detox in The Hague, and he was also a member from a 12-step program, and he took a lot of people from the detox to the first CA meeting, so that was really a growth for CA. Of course, lots of people were also in a van. In a van. They were on that moment they were coming in a van like 10 people or something, and then. But at that time we have really seen hundreds of people coming in and out. It was not just we already everybody know it's not normal that people stay. You know, it's not. But it was really special. It always touched my heart in the beginning when I see newcomers are growing and working seriously their program, and that gives me a big boost.
That's beautiful. So you bring to light the next topic, which is how did you do this translating it? Because everything was in English, and you all speak Dutch, and just like she had to give you some prompts with because your native language is not the one our literature is written in. So how did y'all handle translations and being able to spread the word that way?
Well, that's actually thanks to people like Wim, who, when he said, just read the text. And he said, okay, I'll read it, but for me it's really difficult to know what it means. Because the first ones who started, our English was quite good, so we were fine with English, and we thought it's sort of interesting, you know, who was a cocaine addict, and we went to any lengths, all that stuff. But then we realized, you know, we were in Holland, we can't, we are obliged to carry the message in Dutch, because that is our task, you know. It doesn't matter that we are capable of understanding it. It is about, you know, how we what is the best way to carry the message, and that is in Dutch. And there were, there was a big book that was translated in English, but the translation was, sometimes interesting. No. Yeah. So we asked if there's any, instructions available, but there wasn't really. I think they did in the US and Canada some translations in French and Spanish, but there was not a process in place to follow. So we just started out, and Govert was a big help in that, because he likes languages. And we started with the formats, and then pamphlet after pamphlet. But then we thought, okay, this is, every group is autonomous, but this is affecting CA as a whole, and at least CA Holland as a whole. So we need also to find a way to present our concept translations to the fellowship and have them be open to comments, questions, alternatives, and so we end up with a translation that is carried by the entire Dutch fellowship. So we invented a translation process. It was 13 steps, going back and forth, making improvements. And then, our whole little group of meetings was agreed, and then we offered it to World Service Office, and then there was another round of, procedures and stamps. So when you hold one of those Dutch folders, there's a lot of work going into that, and then also the whole, the choosing trying to find matching colors for the paper that the English pamphlets were printed on. We had a lot of fun, finding a printer and scrambling the money together to print a substantial quality. You can't just start with 10 pamphlets here and 10 pamphlets there. But if you want, 200 of 10 pamphlets, for us, that was a lot of money. So if you ever donated something in the beginning, in the 7th edition, that is where part of your money went. It helped to carry the message in Dutch.
That's a really important point. And our registrations to attend this convention, this funds the World Service Office, which gives us the opportunity to keep our structure strong so that we can meet the needs of translation. So our next question, let's start it with you, Wim. The question is on how important has sponsorship been in the growth of Cocaine Anonymous in Holland?
Yeah, once of all, I want to say, meetings, the steps, sponsors. And what was beautiful also with the sponsorship and being together, that we also play out with each other. I don't do CA and sit here to be CA and sit here. I do it to be a person at home, at my work, with my friends. My disease have not so much connection with people. But what we do was also about what you're telling, also in the beginning, to try start something together, playing around with each other, playing pool, going out, going do sport with each other. So make connected, that's the best connection now also what we see. And we learned that from the old timers, that they come connect, meet other people, newcomers, to feel comfortable, and then go in the meetings and start a life. So it's not only be the meetings and anyway. But the sponsorship, that's for me was the concept I didn't understand. And that's what you realize if you stand with your sponsor and he will close his eyes and make his last breath. Terry, Edward in the middle, and me on the other side, with a human being could keep me sober and clean together. We were standing outside, holding hands. I was feeling the hole in the donuts. I was crying because my sponsor was dying. Help me. And Terry said, we all gonna face this fact. In the open air, we were waiting that a car was coming. My sponsor was 2 weeks to live. And he was speaking to my fucking heart, He told me in the connection that we all come to a part that we will die. that we are men, that we are standing like men. That's what the program gives me. That was beautiful, you know. That was give me the hole in the donut, what they promised me, the connection with people that I don't understand, you know. So that's for me the sponsorship, to connect with people, to be out and reach out. It's not a game, you know. It's not dancing tonight, and for me it's living and dead. I was relapsed after 2 years. I called Cora and Monica. I say, if you go to Delft and they will go in and they will burn me, you will go 3 weeks free, you will get stoned. So much shit I got in my body because I was dying of the disease. I was dying of this disease, and they still were connected to me. Another sponsor was calling me Tom, Yankee Tom. In the beginning, in New York, they say, Tom said that, and it was not for me. Sponsors say, walk with me. Shut the fuck up, they say. Shut the fuck up. Put your plugs in your mouth. That was hardcore, you know. I need tough love. I'm a man, have love. My father was already. Anyway, but Tom was calling me on my voicemail when I was dying of this disease. He said, you don't have to do this alone, Wim, and hang up. I was crying, and that was touching me because I knew what to do, and I couldn't stop on that moment. So sponsorship is very important, especially the people you meet, and they say, the guy from Hong Kong is here. I say, oh man, he's already 80. He's again here, enthusiastic. It's not normal. And I see the father is here. And anyway, till Edward, I met a lot of people to sit here, clean and sober. That's not normal. I'm dying. If I relapse, I'm dying. My last relapse was 25 kilos in 2 weeks. So I'm not a little bit party guy. I'm shooting. I kill myself and I take everybody with me. So I'm grateful, you know. Thank you.
Beautiful, Wim. Thank you. Cora, sponsorship. On sponsorship, what sponsorships meant to you?
Yeah, I'm not so very good sponsor, but it helps me very much, and I need it, you know. I'm also going to die when I don't work my program and my steps, and doing service, going to meetings, higher power and meditation, blah blah blah, all that kind of stuff. It's for me. It's also not something that I just can do a little bit, just playing around or something. It's very seriously for me, Cocaine Anonymous. And for me, I didn't know what the sponsor was or something. I thought, you know, when she said, you have to ask your higher power for help, I thought, okay. But she was really an example for me, Monica, and still is. And so I thought, you know, I want to have what she has. And so I started to do what she wanted, she done. And she asked me, can you ask your higher power for help? 3 times in a meeting, 3 times a week to a meeting, and working the steps on a daily basis, that kind of stuff. I did all the things, you know, and some things about the higher power stuff, I really had problems with the higher power, how I understand. But I thought, I can do it, you know, because I don't want to die, you know. And I had to do it. And but I really believe that she should tell me one time about that higher power stuff, to ask for help on a daily basis. I really thought, she comes with the Bible, you know, one day. And then she said, you have to read it, like this and that. And but that wasn't true, you know, she never came with the Bible or something, because CA is not like that. It's a higher power, how you understand him or her or she or it, whatever. And I really have done all the stuff. I'm still doing it. And to be a sponsor for a sponsee, that's also a privilege.
Privilege.
Yeah, thanks. For me, because when I'm working the steps, then I come to situations when that sponsor tell me some things, honest things in the steps. They tell me also some situations who are very difficult for me, and they help me also through it. There was also somebody who I have also stuff with my mother. My mother has is unconditional, no, not unconditional, has the Alzheimer's disease for years, so that was very difficult, and but I never relapsed on that, it was working the steps, and my sponsors helped me then through that, I don't want to have something from them, but it goes, when I give the unconditional love to them and work the steps on an honest way, with honesty, open-minded, and willingness, then I come to that situations that they help me through it, and I also need it, of course, because I don't want to die. I want to go to a mental institution because that's where I come when I don't do CA. I can talk about it for hours, but
Thank
was
you.
it.
And Monica, would you like to add on the importance of sponsorship in the growth of Holland?
Like I said, what I found in the first CA meetings, the online meetings, was different than the face-to-face meetings in Holland. It was just like they would say, oh, yeah, I do a step every year. And that was totally different than the message I heard online. It was, real commitment and just, speed it up. Not to be, not to win a race, but because it was necessary. And so, yeah, and I thought, okay, this is CA. In CA you work the step, you have a sponsor, blah blah blah. This is what you do. So that is. I guess that's the message we carried, and so the new people who came in, and like a lot of Edward sponsees, he was also very, hardcore. Some people might call it Nazi-like, but what Wim said, that is tough love because we're dying, I don't need someone to sugarcoat it, sugarcoat my funeral then, that tough love is really what I didn't like it at the time, and I was working with my sponsor online, and where many times I got a reply back, it was through email, that I thought, what the fuck, who do you think you are? And I was glad we were not speaking on the phone or face to face because I got so angry, and I started to write an angry reply, but then I read it, and I thought, I don't know, this person is reaching out to me and doesn't earn any money, is just, caring about me, and now I'm judgmental and angry. So I started to write another email, a bit milder, and then after a while I thought, maybe my sponsor's right. So I wrote back, you're probably right, thanks. And that is how I can only give that to my sponsees because that is what I received, and I because it is hard to do that. I'm a pleaser, I don't want to you to not like what I tell you, but that is really in CA. Let us love you until you can love yourself, and that is, one hand is the sweet love, and the other hand is the tough love, and I need both to become whole. So that is what CA, was from the start. Work the steps, sponsor, big book, blah, 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 do the things, and get, we needed people for service and as sponsors, and step 12 is really the accelerator of my own problem. When I just participate in meetings, I sit back, I complain about the coffee, and I disappear. But when I have to do service, I'm full of fears, codependent, all those issues come up, and I have to address them because look next to you, there's no one else who can do that service, And then I ask my sponsor, how do I go about this and that, and what do I do? And then my sponsor always replied with, remember, it's not your meeting, it's your higher powers meeting. And through all those, suggestions, I learned how to let go, and I learned how to, own my own fears and not, when I'm afraid, think you want to hurt me or criticize me. It's all in me, and then all these things that I had to work in sponsorship, in service, they are really so helpful to me in the rest of my life, with my family, with my job, because I'm not only fearful in CA, I'm fearful everywhere. You know, on the moon I would be fearful, you know? So that's really the accelerator, sponsorship and service.
Thank you very much. Okay, so the next question is about service, building a service structure and the traditions. So this is to each of you. Do you have anything you want to share on the challenges in building the service structure or keeping it between the lines of the traditions?
Yeah, I have something. Now, I lived in Delft, and there was no CA meeting. So I started the CA meeting in Delft with other fellows, with the support from people from out of The Hague, because in the beginning of CA Delft, there was no member who lived in Delft. And I was the only one. In the beginning, we were very small, and I wanted to control the whole meeting and the service position. So I didn't know what to do anymore with certain situations. And sorry, I asked my sponsor, Monica, for help, and she said, "Go read the 12 traditions." And I've never done that before. Yeah, I looked a little bit in it, but I thought, yeah, it's not my stuff, you know. But then I was really seriously, because, you know, we wanted to grow. We wanted to have a good meeting, and I also want to sleep, you know, because I had obsessions about that meeting. So I started to read very seriously the 12 traditions, and that was started, and that started to work. And today the meeting already exists for more than 13 years, and that's Delft CA meeting. It's very attended, and there are always a lot of newcomers coming to that meeting, and also old-timers. And I also support the CA Schiedam meeting. It was a very small and young meeting. They started, it's something about 2 years ago. They started with 3 fellows. Since I started doing service there, I also experienced the same controlling issues with that CA meeting, again in that Schiedam meeting. So I thought, no, I don't want to go that way, you know. So I started to use my the 12 traditions. I learned from my mistakes, and now I can listen more to my higher power and what the group wants, you know, and not what I want, what my higher power wants for the group, for the Schiedam CA meeting. And that it's not about me, but it's about the meeting and the higher power who's the boss, and not me. And it's about the fellows, all the fellows from the meeting. And I write also a lot about the steps about that meeting, and it helps me too, and with the help of the tradition. So that is what is helping me with the service.
Thank you very much.
The traditions.
Do either of you want to add anything to that?
Yeah, I was, like Cora, I was never very interested in the traditions, like the hang on the wall, and I thought, oh, okay, and when there was a tradition meeting, I thought, oh, boring people. And the service structure, was all sort of a vague something in the air, probably redundant, administrative, you know, civil servant stuff or whatever. And Jackie was really a great help, because whenever I attended a convention abroad, I went to a lot of conventions in the States and in the UK where Jackie lived, and there would be a caucus. You know, what is a caucus? Caucus, is that something of a bird or something? No clue. But it was like a business-like meeting of representatives of other areas, but sort of informal. And I thought, why do you invite me here, you know? I'm just a nobody. But she was, no, you should come. And I didn't know what they were talking about. I just had no clue. But it is because of her that finally it started to, I started to see that there is, behind the scenes, you need to, you know, we're not very organized, but you need some stuff to get, you know, pamphlets written, to have a big book published, to have a 12-step working guide. And and she was also my go-to person when I had questions about that. And around 2005, Jackie, I don't know when CA UK started, but it was a couple of years previous to Holland. And she had a vision, you know, UK was growing, and she thought, you know, Holland got that, Sweden got that, and she saw a European region. What did I care? But she said, you should apply to become an area. Okay, yeah. And she had pre-filled the whole form, says, just sign here. And then there was a conference in September or August, and yeah, you became an area. And I thought, well, okay, you know, what difference does it make? But through her guidance, I understood a lot more about CA as a whole, and that really made it possible to feel part of, and also to get in touch with all the experience, because we were growing, and you know, recovery is growing, but problems, arguments, and you know, all kind of, you know, gossip, backstabbing, you know, whatever, you know, we're not saints. So how do you go about that? And she was a great help and support because when I signed that sheet, we were not really an area. We still had to grow into an area and know what that, what the meaning of that was.
Fantastic. Okay, so that leads perfectly. Because of your involvement in the greater structure, you were able to gain the experience of others, and now here we are at a world convention. And so that's our next question. So we're now at a world convention. Can you share a bit about how you started to organize the events in Holland, how you put things together in order to be able to pull off what has been just an epic world convention?
Yeah. How we organize events, CA events.
Yeah, events and pointed towards the world convention.
It was also Jackie, because she was my go-to person, and we were still very small, and I said, how can we grow? And I thought she had some magic, you know, piece of information and advice and a trick to attract more people to the meeting. But what she said was, start organizing events and also invite family. You know, and I'm not a person who likes parties. So I thought, organize what? You don't have anything else? But she hadn't. So I thought, okay. And there was a guy, Hans Hilverdink. He's also dead, unfortunately. But he was my go-to person in Holland, because he was a good cook and he was very social, and you know, he was always talking. And I thought, okay, I'm going to ask him to organize an event with me, because he will know how to do that. So we did our first event. We did a viewing of a movie of Bill W. And we calculated how much money can we charge and what food, and you know, and I thought, oh, I'm so glad he's there to help, because he has, you know, he knows how to control these things. So we did that movie, and a lot of people turned up, also from other fellowships, because the CA fellowship became the group that organized events. You know, we were the party people. And later he confessed. So we just were break even with that event, you know, so we were very satisfied. We didn't have a loss. And then later he confessed, years later, I was so scared when you asked me, but I didn't dare to say no. So yeah, you share a little bit more about the other events.
Yeah, we organize also meditation workshops and Christmas and Easter parties. And yeah, of course, it was for newcomers. For us, it was very important that we were thinking about the newcomers. That on Christmas and Easter and New Year's Eve, it was a difficult time for newcomers and to stay sober and clean. So we were all enthusiastic, and that was unity. You know, we wanted to be there with the newcomers, and it was very special organized events. And we organized also CA events with food and meeting and a speaker. Hoe zeg je het uit het buitenland? International speakers also, but we were also very small, so that was also very special. And lots of fellows came to that events, and yeah, so because of that event, we were also growing and growing, and we had a very strong connection with each other, the CA fellows.
I get in silence because I was the puppet from Edward and Monica. So I learn here to say help. So I'm not so good in events and stuff like that. That's the truth. So I did the chairs and show up, and I took the newcomers, you know. So that's same with tradition. What Monica already said. When we got tradition, I say, "Oh shit, it's Monday, tradition day."
Yeah.
That's okay. There's no way. I don't like nobody and nothing in this world. So tradition was also not my thing, but I learned to accept that it was very, very important, you know. But I'm not a sidekick about that stuff. So I was very, very privileged to learn to show up, you know, and did my part of all that stuff. So that was my thing. Yeah, very grateful for that. Yep.
Okay, cool. So our next question is, what have you seen, what changes have you experienced or seen in the past 24 years?
Yeah, this. If you come here and you see this, and you see the first convention, you know that this convention what we had were 2 puppets from UK, and the rest was puppets from that first meeting, you know. And the second meeting was in an area where we did. They say, hey, don't clap anymore. If you don't clap, don't shout. The fire department was coming in, and they were growing babies in the garden, you know. There was a garden of evil with all the addicts together. But anyway, what the difference is that is amazing how it grows, you know. Just showing up and do your thing. So that's what I say, you know. It has nothing to do with Wim or with an individual. It's much bigger, you know. It's amazing that you see that you just show up and do your thing and be part of it. And that's the contradiction. My addiction saying no to everything. Still I wake up, I say, Kss. And to come here and to sit here, no expectation. I got no formulas. I got everything by my experience. And then it's amazing, you know. So you get more grateful, you get more peace inside, you get more people around you who call you daily. And so what's different is that it grows so fast, and yeah, you never understand what your part is in it. So you get, the more you get, that's from the old guys, the more you get silent and you can watch the show, pop the popcorn and sit back or something like that. Yeah, it's big, you know. Even when the other, yeah, I hope, and especially the young guys, you know. I got young guys. I think he's here. He doesn't disappear now. Yeah, he's sitting there, he's waving. Whoa, he's talk a lot, you know, but the young guys, you know, the young guys have to do it. They have to stand up. I'm also already an old fart, but if you see with the newcomers and you know, it's amazing how they connect with each other, and that they also spread the news and also do their thing. So, anyway, a lot of change, but still the basic is. Best share is also from Jackie. She was standing on the podium in our first convention, and she's standing there, tall like this. She said, I wish I could reach open my chest and show you what my sobriety is from inside. And if you're a newcomer, you say, that's scary. Don't do that. But that was already spiritual, you know. She was already there. And I was sitting, yeah, come on, next. So anyway, I'm grateful, you know, that I met all that people, and I keep coming back. That's the best share that I hear. Keep coming back and do that also, and do that other stuff. But yes, thanks.
That's
Thanks,
beautiful. Cora, the last 24 years, changes.
Yeah, I have no words for this World Convention, what is doing it with me, but of course it's also, it's not only about me, and but I'm very grateful for it, the growth from CA Holland, and that I'm also a small part of it. That I'm also a small part of it, and yeah. Now there are also very little. There's also even CA meeting in very small villages, and that was never before. We also went there, Monica and I. It was very special. And yeah, that people really have to drive for 1 hour or 2 hours to go to another meeting. And yeah, you know, it's not normal to have for me, it's always in my heart. Now they're here in Holland, 2020 meetings. 220 meetings here in Holland. But for me, I'm thinking still that are in places or countries, lands, how you say that, there are no meetings, you know. So it's just, it's hoe zeg je dat, een cadeau? It's a present. But it's more than a present to have a meeting in my own country, you know, in my own place, and it's not just normal, you know. And for me, CA is very special because in CA, the people take in my neighborhood the meetings I go to, and how I've learned it. Fellows are very serious with working the program. For me, that's really the thing, you know. And now the change is also that in the beginning there were no safe houses or 12 steps clinics in the beginning of CA Holland. There was none, you know. So my therapist didn't know about it, or they didn't want to know about AA or CA. They ignore it. And now it's really growing. Now there are lots of 12-step clinics and safe houses, and they all know about CA, you know. So we have grown, you know. That was it.
For me, one of the changes is that I'm sitting here at the biggest CA event in the world, and I'm not an official member of any committee. Love that for a change. But whenever the plan was approved, our bid was approved, I thought, okay, I've done my tour of duty, but I'm available, you know, to help as a backbencher. And it was very nice when Hemmo became the fundraising chair. Don't know if Hemmo's here. Love you, Hemmo. And he asked me to be a member of his committee. And in that time, I was in a bit of, you know, not such a positive mood because Edward died a year ago or so, and he was a very close friend of me. And then I thought, okay, this is what I need. I didn't want it. I thought, one more committee. But I said, Hemmo, as long as I don't have to do any official meetings, it's a yes. You know, and it really came true that, you know, I didn't feel it, but because I experienced these higher power jobs, and I know this is going to, you know, give me another lift into enjoying life, and it really did. So that is one of the big changes, that, you know, things are being organized, and it's not just, you know, angels doing that. It is people behind the scenes who do all kinds of events. And it's really awesome to see that, because I know how much work it is, and how much, you know, you think we can't do this, or, you know, we'll cancel it, no one will turn up, and it's still being done by a lot of you too. So that is really cool to see. And you know, to see the organization, you know, getting more professional websites, literature, orders, and to know how, you know, how we scrambled to make things work in the beginning, and now things are so smooth. So that is really, cool to see, and to, I think we're also by this event so much more connected to, not just some people in Holland, but worldwide.
Yeah, that's beautiful. Okay, so this brings us to our last question. What's your favorite CA memory? Please.
Yeah, for me, I have lots of memories, CA memories. But when I have to choose one, it was that my best friend had been ill for cancer, was for over 10 years. She was a very good friend of mine, and eventually she died. When I was on my way by train to the funeral, the CIA helpline was ringing, and I answered the phone. It was a newcomer, and I carried the message, and it was me who really needed that phone call, and on that moment, I was in good contact with my higher power and program, and that moment has helped me to get out of self, but there on the funeral of my friend and be there for her family and husband, and yes, that moment is in my heart, and that newcomer has helped me too, and my friend who died, she knew also about the program, and before I came here, I had a dream about her, so it was the night before I came here, so that was also very special, and she knew about the program, and she said, you really changed, before she died, she said it to me, and so, it's a very special memory.
That's beautiful. Wim?
Yes, of course, thousands. But to stay in Edward terms is in the now. And now. And now. And now.
Bring us home, Monica.
Yeah, I think I have two. So the first encounter with the person reaching out to me from the CA website when I felt, I don't deserve any hope and someone else had hope for me. Yeah, still can remember that very vividly. Yeah, that someone cared and that really reached my heart. And another one is when we had a COVID lockdown. And my thought just went, okay, it's not a big deal. We've been there, we've been in our bottom, rock bottom, and we know how to, survive that and recover. And what came to mind was a piece of text from the 12 and 12 in step 3, where at the end they start to talk about, does it really work, higher power? And they gave as an example, of course, the 12 and 12 was written in 1953, after World War II. And they said, before the war, they thought, okay, how is this AA stuff, going to hold? Because it was all new. And after the World War, they found out that the people with the program had not alone stayed sober, but came out with, inner strength and were not as shattered as many others. And I thought, okay, I don't have to worry about a thing. This thing helps people through a war, Why should, this is just not a big deal for me. And I could see, how our higher power brought this COVID thing to us when we had online, Zoom, all kind of things to stay connected, and that people were willing to carry the message, and that people were, with a desire to stay sober, connected with us online. So that doesn't break the power and the love of CA. And it was a really uplifting moment. And I was so blessed that all these people that have no program, and we have this, we just go online, no problem. And other people are locked up, depressed, scared, whatever, panicky. We have a solution already, and we know how to work it and to reach out to people. So, yeah, I was very grateful. I'm always grateful. But at that moment, I thought, I'm so well taken care of. Yeah.
That's beautiful. Okay, well, I'd like to thank our panel, Wim, Cora, Monica. Thank you so much. So So as Monica, as you alluded to the fact that Johnny S. had, in that talk you had heard talked about that the history was still being written. And all of us here participating in this convention, and as we return to our homes, the story is still being written. So let's circle up and pray.